Oh, we'll get started a little. We'll go ahead and get started here a little earlier than my timer. I've got to work on that and figure out how to adjust that a little bit quicker and easier than just running up with a 10-minute by default. But other than that, figured I had roughly 45 minutes before my next call at work. I was going to start the arenas anyway. So might as well jump in and stream this. Let's see if I've got everything set up correctly. Does that look right? As far as I can tell, it does. So, really just going to go ahead and jump in and start the grind for the milestones on these two arenas. Don't expect this to be a long stream. Not sure if anybody's going to even join in, but wanted to test some settings and all that I've adjusted to see if it's working any better. Trying to increase the gain on my microphone without distorting everything else. The other thing that I'm going to do, at least maybe just for a few minutes, is let's go ahead and see if we can get this working. Let's see, that needs to go there. All right, so there we go. Just going to have this on for a couple seconds just to kind of get an idea of what it would look like, see what I can see, and we'll kind of go from there. Not sure if I'll keep the camera on or if I will go without it. Most likely we'll go without it on most days, just because, that's the way it is. But figured, what the heck, we can go ahead and turn it on for now. And for some reason it is not showing up on the stream, although I am seeing it in my feed. Let's kind of remove that. I don't need that there. If I move that up, down, will that show up? Interesting. Not sure why, other than, let me see. Oh, that's my air server screen. That's why I'm not seeing it. There it is. That works much better. When I actually look at the feed itself, I do need to increase the resolution that I'm sending this at as well. May play with that after this. It's only coming through, I think it's 720 and not at 1080. So work on that once I'm done with this, and then maybe that'll be a little bit cleaner, a little bit clearer for everybody. And this is going to be a little slower than what I'd like. Can't run recoils. I guess I could turn them on, but I just really don't want to be stuck with all the switching of masteries with season now on. So kind of for the next 3.5 to 4 weeks, I will be running kind of recoil free. Really hate that when I'm doing arenas, but it is what it is. So, kind of my way of grinding these 5-star arena, I run, just kind of sort all my 5 stars by the, lowest possible PI, and then just kind of build up there, run 10. Then I'll jump over to the featured arena, run 10 matches there, and probably call it for this stream. Like I said, really just trying to get a lot of the kinks worked out of the streaming that I'm doing, just so that, as I get more and more, as people find out about me, as, I'm able to get better at it, hopefully. It will just sound better, look better, have a lot of the features in there that I want. Things like that, so I'm hoping that'll be the case for streaming. I'm going to do one thing here because that's kind of in the way of my phone, and there we go. Yeah, I think I kind of need to move my camera a little bit eventually, but one thing I did want to point out, am repping the For Loki shirt that I still have to send some money to USAFA for. I haven't forgotten, but just wanted to show that I kind of wear that when I have to do Alliance War. Anything I can do for a little bit of a boost to my morale, my confidence, whatever you want to call it, I kind of want to do. You know, Fortunately for me, wearing this, I haven't worn it in every war since I got it, and since Yusafa designed them. But since I have worn it, I haven't died in a war, and I think it's only been, granted, 3 or 4 wars. But you know, it's just like sports figures and a lot of their superstitions and a lot of their things that they have to wear and all that. That doesn't do much other than maybe a little bit extra confidence boost. All right, let me bring that up there, and there we go. Arenas are so slow without recoils. Safe, but slow. And Viv is one of those champs I'd love to learn how to play more. I kind of know some of the basics, but not a lot of them. Kind of like how her power drain works, how to get, do not know her ideal damage rotation. Oops. And I just got a bunch of power stings on myself because I was stupid. That's right, it's Arena. And trying to get more power stings on myself, being stupid. And this should, oops. Yeah, and with Viv, I know there's those spots that you're supposed to tap as she's going through her special too. The heck if I know which ones they are and what I need to do and how I need to do it and all that. I'm just not a champ that I have focused on and learned to play at all. Not sure why. She seems pretty cool, but just not one that I've ever sat down and taken any time at all to learn to play. And hopefully, I don't know if the tapping on my phone comes through the mic. I don't know how high I've gotten the gain, so I'll have to check that out as well. I tend to hit my screen a little harder than probably a lot of people do. It's not a gentle, so you can probably hear it, but it's just how I play the game, which probably isn't right, seeing as much as I struggle from time to time with this game. I really wish the update on this guy would have been a little bit better. I love Deadpool as a character. Like the movies, but would have really loved to see a little bit better treatment of him. It's a shame. There's so many different versions of him in here too, and none of them are great. He's like Iron Man was for a very long time. Had a lot of different versions. Speaking of different versions of him, it would have been nice to have one that was good. All right. The heal on these guys is pretty nice, but it is just, there's no damage. There's no real great utility that somebody else doesn't have. Let me see if I can turn that volume down for my work computer so that you don't hear all the notifications that I'm sure will come across. And come here. Now, Silk, on the other hand, is one of my favorites. She is just so smooth, so functional. I like her. Oops. Sitting here talking and looking at my playback and not looking at my combos. Just being able to let her take control, to evade, things like that. Being able to do the 4-hit combo into a heavy into a special, which I granted he died there ahead of time, but just doing that is so nice. I wish she worked better for this particular meta, and she probably does. I just part of my problem with this game and being better at it is I find it very hard to um, focus on many different things at the same time. You've got all the debuffs, you got all your buffs, you've got debuffs on you, you've got timers. Um, and I am bad about losing track of them, especially when there's a lot going on the kind of the buff debuff bar, and they move around. If they stayed in the same spot, for example, if stun, when you put a stun on somebody, if it would stay in that same spot for the length of the stun or something like that, but they seem to adjust around from time to time. And maybe it's just as other debuffs, I know it's as other debuffs come on and as things change in a fight, it just, with like Titania, for example, she's got 3 rows of debuffs. There's just no way for me to keep track of everything that's going on in there. I know some people can, and I know that's what makes them better at the game than me. And I just have, kind of grown to accept that fact. I've grown to accept that, I'm average at this game. I'm not great. I'm able to accomplish what I'm able to accomplish in the game. 1, due to roster. 2, due to my favorite champion, Unit Man, which is why I grind Arena so much. It isn't necessarily for the deals. I grind Arena to be ready for the next Everest content, the next big event. I'm not ever going to be one of those guys that, can do like a Brian Grant and do 6.2 itemless, or an MSD who can, do itemless runs through, the gauntlet or, the abyss. It's going to take me a lot of revives, and now especially since you can't really stock up a lot of revives, there's nowhere to really go farm them. It's all units. So it's just tougher. I admire those guys that can do it. I'm in an alliance full of guys that are incredible at this game. You've got Andrew the Rough, you've got Legacy, both in the top 8 in the last BG meta, headed to Vancouver for the Battleground Brawl tournament. Not something I'm going to be able to do. So, it's just, they are just so much better at it than I am. And I feel bad from time to time, and I often think that, I hold them back a little bit, just because of my war performance and things like that. But, like I said, they are forgiving. They overlook a lot of deaths and things like that. I think there are things that I do contribute to the Alliance. I'm not a complete and total sponge. I try to put in what I can do and where I can do it. So, and this is another one of those champs that it's just such a pain to fight in the arena. You get that indestructible, invulnerable buff that he gets near the end, and it's just an extra slowdown. I have to fight him in Alliance Quest all the time, and on the path that I am, I can use Ebony Maw as kind of a cheese counter, and I have, if you let him get killed by kind of the passive degen damage, that doesn't happen. So I usually get him down to 1, 2, 3%, and then just kind of put the phone down for a few seconds, let Maw's degen end up killing him. It's just quicker. I just hate waiting out that timer for him to be able to take damage again. It's kind of like the Hercules type thing. You've got that safety guy, net there. If only he was good somewhere else. For a champ that is as rare as he is to get, well, especially at really at any star level, it would be nice if he, kind of like with a couple of the other champs, with the Deadpools and things like that. That if he was any good, really the only thing he's got going for him is that little immortality, indestructible at the end of his at the end of his life. Let's see, what round are we on in this one? This is 6 or 7. So not going too slow. And after this is done, I'm probably going to turn my camera back off. I've got to answer a message or two for work, because what wouldn't be my lunch break without somebody reaching out and needing some information before I'm back. Shocker's another one of those. I want to really like them. I want to find a spot to use them, but I haven't been able to yet. I think he might be decent in this battleground meta, if for nothing else, on defense. He's not the easiest champ to fight. So, I may throw him. I've got him at rank 4, and I may try him, but, I just don't know. Since you can't consistently stun him, and when he's got enough charges, he becomes unblockable. I think he could probably do a little bit. And then if I had to use him on attack, he can't really get rid of the prowess, but I think, being able to do a massive heavy may break through some of that. If you can get to a special 2 quick enough, maybe throw one special 1, since, throwing the special 1, he doesn't lose that power since I have him awakened, and high sig. I think maybe he could, blast through some of the lower health pools. I don't know if he'd be able to get the whole way. I'm struggling to find champs and ways to overcome the node outside of Mystics and outside of, the tech champs that can remove prowess or, have armor ups and things like that. But, there's just not quite enough good counters to certain champs, out there. I have gone back through and I've added in, like, I originally was running without Torch and without AA, thinking that they wouldn't be good for it. But, and they're not the greatest, but I've been running across Dooms and other counter champs that I could not get through at all. One of the champions that has surprised me a little bit, was able to take a couple fights with him, kind of off stream earlier, is Symbiote Supreme. The one that surprised me the most was I was able to take a gallon with him, which, really got me. I did not think that was going to turn out to be very good at all. I was just really going in to do what damage I could. It was really the only counter. I think it came down to either Sim Supreme or maybe Scorpion, and I just didn't think Scorpion was going to be able to do enough damage quick enough to overcome the... Sorry, I wanted to focus there for a second, and I walked right into the end of the special 2 anyway. I just didn't think he was going to have enough damage to really do much of anything. Scorpion just didn't... I didn't think there was going to be enough damage there before the prowess built up, to finish him off. But, surprisingly left Sim Supreme handled him fairly well. I did take a lot of chip damage early on, and had to block a special 2, which hurt. But I think I ended up the fight somewhere around 60 or 70% health, and it was an R3 Sim Supreme going up against an R4 or 5 Gallon, which, I was pleased with. I didn't think it was going to happen. I didn't think I'd kill him. I just kind of was, it was kind of Hail Mary play and worked out surprisingly well. All right. I think this is round 8, so 2 more rounds in this arena. And then hopefully I've got enough time left to finish off the start of the next one, kind of get him up to where, at least the start of the infinite streak. He didn't evade. I do like the Spider-Man rework as well. He's got some great features. I'd like to be able to utilize him more in more different areas, but he's another one of those champs that kind of falls into everything that he can do. There's just other champs that can do it a little bit better. And the one thing I do not like about him is the fact that his evade, triggers when you go to parry. I don't like champs like that. I want to, kind of like with Silk. I love the way hers works. I can, let her take complete control on a special, or I can try and dex it myself. But if I miss, it's that nice safety net that she's going to evade it for me. Other champs, let you parry and doesn't trigger when you're trying to parry or block. But, it's just those that when I go to, and Ultron is the same way. Sometimes when he's got his evade buff up, and you go to parry, it's sometimes just the worst possible time, and you're not ready for him to evade out on you. So when, the evade is done, you're sitting there wide open, and, you can get smacked around a little bit that way. Really wish you had a little bit more control over it. All right, so 4 more fights, this one and 3 more in this arena. And then we'll jump over to the Ironman one, and then I'll get back to work. The only thing kind of nice about not running recoils in arena is it is longer fights, a little bit more practice for me. Really wish the AI on that was similar to the AI that's in War or in Battlegrounds. Well, in a way, it's similar to the one in Battlegrounds. I find that I have to bait specials a lot there. And the other downside is, it's the timing on it. Starting the infinite streak, in these arenas without recoils is really slow. These last couple of fights, and plus I'm not using the greatest champs in the world. These are champs that are still just rank 1, rank 2. Oops, and I pushed him to a special 3, so I'll probably eat that. Yep. Fortunately, he's a tank. Let me go ahead and see what these messages are, people. Left for me. Okay, I do have to respond to one real quick after this fight. Rhino's another one of those champs I would love a rework on. He's got some great things. It's just, and I love how tanky he is. All right, sorry about that. So, yep, one more. Let's go ahead and grab some little bit better champs here that can do a little bit more damage. Sure, we'll go that way. maybe. There we go. Okay, and there. All right, one more little combo. Should be enough charges now to kill him, I think. Yep, there we go. I do like Gallon. He's one of those champs that I like. Has enough functionality, enough damage output that I don't have to, worry too much about it. I can get to a special 1, special 2, and then, kind of let him take control and just do that special and watch things die. All right, throw your special now, Cable. Really wish they'd come out with a, in addition to reworking some of the stores, and I know they're working on the loyalty one now, would really love for an update to the arenas again. We've got 7 stars champs out now. It'd be nice to have some 7-star shards thrown in there. The other thing that I'd love to see, and they've never done it, it's always been shards and champions, which is good because you do get gold, you do get ISO. I would love to see, the updates to the, what I call kind of the off arenas, that third, the ones that I typically only run if the arena event quest or arena solo quest comes up on a Sunday, is like the one for the basics and the alphas. Let's throw some, give us an update on that, so that we can get some, T6 basic, some T3 alpha, some higher end, catalysts for upgrading. Sorry, trying to concentrate here a little bit so that I don't die. And there we go. All right, so we are done there. Does take probably about 10 minutes longer that way. Let's jump over to this one and kind of do the same thing, sort by availability. So we're getting that lowest level 6-star, and we're going to jump right in and get these running. Should hopefully be done here in about 15-20 minutes, and then back to work. Gonna try as well, to do live streams on a semi-regular basis. Typically a lot of them are going to be in the mornings. That seems to be the time that I'm most flexible, when I have the most time in my schedule. I typically get up much earlier in the morning than what I actually have to sit down and start doing some work. So I'm thinking if I can, stream maybe between 8 and 10 a.m. Eastern time. Granted, miss a lot of potential audience members that way, but it's just when I have time and when other people already aren't. When I get off work, you've got Lefty that you can go visit his streams. And then a lot of times when Lefty is done, Intoxicated Gamer and Aaron Abdo, he is streaming. And then when Abdo is done, it goes right into Brian Grant. And at that point, it's just too late in the day for me to do anything. So really what I'm left with is either doing it pretty consistently in the morning and inconsistently kind of like at lunchtime, like right now, which is probably what I'm going to end up doing. There may be days I do too, just on, like today, where, get up in the morning maybe do my morning arena grind and then run some battlegrounds, or just save mornings for battlegrounds, and then at lunchtime run through my 5 stars and my 6 stars in arena. Really, all that I do there is I run my 5R5s in the 5-star arena. I run the 6R5 and R4 in the featured. Throw in the 7-star champs in the featured. Kind of once a day. Hit all the milestones, and that's all that I'm looking for out of these. Is it's not necessarily for the shards, although they're nice. There's not very many of them. It is for the units. It is for the battle chips. That's what I'm in here for. I do not like, I know coming up we're going to have Cyber Weekend. There's going to be, if it's like July 4th, you're going to need 30,000 units minimum just to hit milestones. I'll buy deals too, so I'm not too worried about it. My goal is always to have at least 15,000 units kind of stored up. You never know when they're going to do a champ offer or a special offer. And a lot of them, especially champions in the past with like Vision and things like that, were 10 to 15,000 units. So having that on hand is just nice. It just means I don't have to go out and buy units right away. If they space things out right, I don't have to buy them at all for that. And thought I got out of the way of that last hit. Really hate fighting this guy in arena. He is so slow, and especially early on, the AI is inconsistent. It just leads to bad things. All right, let's go ahead and swap that around. And wow, thought I could sneak that in there. I fight this guy all the time in Alliance Quest as well, and he's just another rework that I wish it was redone. That Daredevil was my favorite of all the Marvel series that they put out. That first season of Daredevil on Netflix was, by far, I think the best of the Netflix / Disney Plus series that Marvel's come out with. Close behind by the Jessica Jones series, but just the Daredevil felt like it was like it should. It wasn't whitewashed. It wasn't it was a little bit more violent than some, which good, bad, and different. But it just felt more like the Daredevil comics and what he was supposed to be. A lot of the other series, I hate what they did to Nick Fury. I couldn't even finish watching it. I think I got 3 or 4 episodes in. Still have to finish it. I still have to finish She-Hulk. I have to finish the Kamala Khan one. It is just some of them. Just miss the mark a little bit. I still enjoy them, but with so many other things out that I would rather watch, they just didn't really do much for me. And speaking of characters that need a buff, oh my goodness. One day Groot will get the buff that he deserves. I may be a lot older than I am now. I may have stopped playing this game. But one day, Infamous Iron Doom here will throw a special. There we go. Talk about a bad combination. Tanky Iron Doom and low damage output Groot. And of course he throws it the half second. I am not ready for him to throw one. Now he's got his aura up. Good thing I do now have some Fury, so maybe I'm not hitting for 20 damage. And good thing Groot is a little tanky. There we go. Really interested in seeing the drop tomorrow. I think it's tomorrow for the loyalty bundle and see what we can get there. I do have 5 million loyalty, so another champ that is a pain to fight early in arenas. Interested in getting another 7-star. They just dropped the Werewolf by Night and Mobius trailer. They both look very good. Don't know which one I'm more excited about. I know I'm getting the Mobius at least as a 7-star through the Summoner Appreciation event. And of course I push him to a special 3. Hopefully this won't kill me. Just so slow. Oh wow, not even close. Oops, thought I could catch him coming back at me there with a special. Come on, there we go. I wasn't expecting you to evade again there, but take care of you anyway. This is taking a lot longer than I remembered without recoils on. May have to start running my R2s in this just to do it a little quicker. And those champs that you don't want to throw their specials, throw them instantly in this section of the arena. This could be a long fight too. I didn't think about the matchup. Hopefully special 2 will get some crits here out of Rhino to overcome that healing and hit. Lovely missed parry to start the fight. That was quick enough. Five more to go. In about 8 minutes. I don't know if I can do it. Be interesting. And with little Ant-Man here and starting to glance, I doubt I'm going to be able to do it. It could take me 8 minutes on this fight alone. I'm just going to push him to special 3. Figured he'd throw it. And there we go, finishes him off. And yeah, I think after this round, I'm going to wrap up this stream and call it at least a day as far as streaming goes. probably be in other people's streams later, doing what I do best, which is lurking. Usually come in, say hi, and then go lurk mode and do stuff in the background. Which is really the only way to do it. You know, I'm would love to chat more with folks, but just between work, line chat, alliance feeds, stuff like that, that's about all that I have time for. Much rather if I had that time. Typically I'm watching a stream while I'm doing arena. So it just... Oh man, they put all the glancing champs in. And champs that aren't going to throw specials. I am doing no damage to her. And of course she's going to sit now and not throw a special one again. Thank you. Can you throw it now? Come on. Wow, 2 special twos to finish it off. So yeah, I think that's going to do it for now. I do appreciate anybody who is watching and lurking. I do appreciate anybody who kind of watches on kind of watches this on a replay. That's about as far as I'm going to be able to take it today, at least on this stream. So we'll see you again later. Thanks a lot. Do appreciate anybody who is watching and lurking.